What's up, party rental pros? Welcome back to Bounce Pros Unplugged, brought to you by BounceWave Inflatable Sales, the podcast where we dive into the ins and outs of running a successful inflatable rental business. Today's topic is one of the most asked about and honestly, one of the most critical for every operator: liability insurance. We've all seen the questions. Do I really need insurance? How much does it cost? What kind of coverage should I get? But today we've got industry veteran Mr. Gary Lorant with Bounce House Risk, who specializes in providing insurance for inflatable rental companies and entertainment rental companies of the like. Thanks for joining me today,
Thank you
Gary.
for having us.
And yeah, absolutely, man. And so before we do a deep dive in today's topic, I definitely want to get to know you more, let the audience get to know you a little bit more, because I know you've been around for a long time. So just give us kind of your story and your experience in the inflatable rental industry, and then what led you into the liability insurance industry.
I started 10 years ago in 2012 at a rental company, did very well with that, was a BA customer for a long time, and then talked to Jason and bought my first hybrid. I'm going to tell you that out of any water slide I've ever owned, the hybrid is what made me the most money, hands down, every holiday weekend. And I had that discussion with a guy named Jason. You may know him.
Know him very well.
He had me center climbs. I was like, listen, I would send him my ERS receipts from when I used to show him what I would get per rental. And he was like, wow, like I got to save these.
Yeah.
I gave you guys a shot. And the whole thing is that you really can't listen to the noise, yet what rents. And one of the phrases that I love is buy what rents. And that phrase goes for just about everything. Just because you like an item doesn't mean your customers like an item. You have to figure out exactly what your market allows and how to get it going. Fast forward, sold my company in 23 and jumped into insurance. There is a need. Why not have a guy who's lived it? You motorized dolly brakes, been there, done that. Your mechanical bull isn't working, or something happens, or you get a tear in an inflatable. I've seen it all. And knowing the need and being able to help people on the other side of what's going on now with insurance, walking them through, because insurance is scary. It's a lot of paperwork. It's just being able to teach people and help them and get them protected.
Yeah, for sure. Good. I'm glad. Yeah, I think you're spot on that. There's a high demand for insurance. There's not a ton of places to go, or especially resources to find out a lot about it. And now that we have you, who a lot of these insurance companies can't say they've ever had somebody that's actually owned an inflatable rental business or entertainment rental business before. You have that background and knowledge. You know exactly what that person's going through in setting up this company. I think that's invaluable, really. In this, like you said, it's an kind of an intense process. It's a little bit scary, but when you have somebody like you that is upfront and honest and is a great communicator, I think that's a big deal. Yeah, you got it, man. So let's dive into this here. Let's get into the world of liability insurance. We'll start pretty simple. Basically, let's start from the ground up. So do you need insurance to start renting out bounce houses? And if you're starting small with just one or two, do you still need it?
You always need insurance because everybody owns stuff. And the last thing you want is to be standing when something happens and not be covered. Do you have car insurance? Of course. Do you have homeowner's insurance? Of course. So the difference between a homeowner's insurance and a bounce house insurance is one's inflatable. So it's very important to have it, because you don't want something to happen and you lose everything. Because if you're standing with insurance, it's just a matter of how much then when something happens, not if.
Okay. So if you have one inflatable and you are renting it out to anybody or letting somebody else use it, insurance, you got to have it, right?
It's very important to have. It's just peace of mind. But you don't want to worry about, oh my God, I had an extension cord and somebody fell and broke their nose. Everybody's going to be asking the question, who's going to pay the medical bills?
Pretty straightforward. So for somebody who's just starting their bounce house rental company, what exactly is liability insurance in our industry? And you touched on this already, but why is it so important? I guess maybe more so, why is it more important in our industry than it might be in liability insurance if you own an antique store? What
Well,
makes us different?
Valid question. Only because I know Blaine and you. Now, as when you guys were growing up, did you guys ever rough house?
Of course.
So put two of you guys in a bounce house at 8, and one of you guys is going to body slam the other one. You're not body slamming each other in an antique store. Mama's going to be upset. So you have to look at is kids being kids, and you want to make sure that when you drop off that bounce house or even a water slide, a hybrid, you drop off this hybrid, and kids are sliding down the hybrid, you definitely don't want to have the issue of some little kid breaking his leg or arm or something and not being covered, because those parents are going to be very upset. And when people see inflatables, it's a party.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially hybrids too, right? Because they're designed to go faster, a little bit more exciting.
Best water slide BounceWave has. You heard it here from
Yeah.
Austin.
Yeah. And Gary and I, we talk a lot, probably weekly. And I think every time I talk to Gary, he reemphasizes that. So listen to him. Listen to somebody that's been there. Buy hybrids. I agree. They are more exciting.
So real quick off topic. Sorry. So
No,
there's
you're
a
fine.
hybrid called, I used to call it Tiki Island. And Jason used to give me crap about it, but it has the red slide liner.
That's the reggae.
Reggae. Okay. That was a top runner.
Yeah.
The second one that I had was the lime green slide liner on a hybrid, and it was a marble orange.
Trop Inferno.
Phenomenal. And I love the lime green slide liner.
Yeah, I do too. I'm bringing those back. There's a big trend recently in contrasting colors. And I like to, while I love printed graphics on stuff, I also love marble because printed graphics are hard to keep clean, as you may know, and as a lot of people know. So if there's a way I can make a unit that's standard vinyl, marble vinyl, or anything that doesn't have a printed graphic on it, I like to try and do that. So lately I've been incorporating a lot more of the lime greens and those kind of liners, the purple liners, the pink liners into stuff. But
Love that.
the next question I have for you is, and I get this a lot because we have a lot of customers that call BounceWave, call us, and they might not even started their business yet. And they're just calling us to get an idea because they've seen the videos on YouTube of my dad, Jason, or whoever giving the story about how we were a rental company and still are before BounceWave. A lot of them are just starting out. They don't even have a company registered yet. And they just want to know from somebody who's been there what the steps are. And so a lot of the times I hear this, or they have the business started and they don't have insurance. And they say, I have a waiver that my customers sign off on. Doesn't that protect me?
Having a rental, not a waiver, it's a rental agreement. Having a rental agreement is very important, but it's a piece of paper. At the end of the day, when you go to court and they say, do you know that you're supposed to have insurance for your company? The answer is you should. So
Okay.
any insurance is a must. It's one of those topics that people say, why is it so high? Why is it so cheap? Why is it? Everything is rated by area.
Okay. And we'll get into that a little bit more later, but so two key things is yes, have a rental agreement waiver, and especially too, because your rental agreement should have a set of safety regulations and procedures and how to properly use the inflatable, which would be important, I would assume, in a claim, some stuff like that, but it is not foolproof. Insurance, you're going to be asked in court if you have insurance because that's what's going to cover it. Yeah. Okay, good. Great answer on that one for sure. So are there situations where, and you mentioned locations where insurance is legally required, or is it more just about protecting your business and kind of meeting venue requirements and protecting you and your business?
Certain states do require insurance. And in state inspected states, one of the questions they ask you after you get your equipment inspected is, do you have insurance? And the reason is just to protect the public. Go back to kids jumping in a bounce house or kids jumping in a combo. Stuff can happen. And insurance is just something you want to have for your whole life, but never use it.
Right. Good. So there are states that do require it. I would assume Pennsylvania being one of them, probably New Jersey. So definitely, if you're looking to get into the business, you're looking to get insurance, look that up. That goes, insurance requirements goes with inflatable requirements too. Some states do require a certification on an inflatable design. We do have some approved for Pennsylvania now. We're working on New Jersey. So that's another thing to look into if you're getting into the business, as well as the insurance requirements. We broke the surface on some of the more general questions. So we'll dig into the details of why and what the insurance actually covers. So when an operator buys a standard liability policy, what types of incidents are typically covered with that policy on a general scale?
So an operator should get 3 different policies. Commercial auto, when you transport your inflatables from point A to point B. The second one is going to be your inland marine, which protects it from when you have it at a warehouse. I have a friend of mine who in California had a warehouse fire, and he had insurance, so he was covered. If he didn't have insurance, then he might not have gotten anything for what happened during that fire. The third is your general liability. Your general liability covers injuries, slips and falls, breakages, anything that could happen to somebody while on a inflatable.
Okay. So your general liability will not cover your inventory in a warehouse then. So that's a different policy.
And your general liability is just going to cover injuries that occur while using the devices.
So 3 policies to have. That's good to know. Actually, I've heard of that before, but I didn't know that. And I think people hear general liability and they think that just covers everything. And those are 3 things that assume people can get through you?
Of course, it's one that people is always make sure you buy from a manufacturer that has manufacturer's insurance, which I know you guys have.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Watch out for those manufacturers on the websites overseas and just having them load them into a container and send them directly to you. That's why we warn strongly against just jumping in and doing that. But yeah, no, that's a great point to have. And then what are some of the things that aren't covered that operators might not realize?
Things that could not be covered are items that you would have on that you exclude on your policy is one.
Okay.
Or if you add units to your policy, you need to notify the insurance provider that you have added items to your policy.
Okay.
Go buy 10 more units, shoot an email to your insurance agent and say, hey, I added 10 more slides from BounceWave. Don't worry. 8 of those are hybrids. They're going out all the time. The other 2 just fine. And those will be in our warehouse forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's a good note. And if you're listening, maybe something to take note of. And we still do that every time we add an inflatable to our rental company. The first thing we do when we blow it up to get videos and pictures of it is get the serial number and get a hold of the insurance company and let them know that to add it to our policy, because it's got to be added, right, to be covered.
Correct.
It's not just a general thing of anything you buy is going to be covered. It's got to be notified to that insurance company.
This is going to be a secret. I'm going to tell you this, but you can't tell nobody. Insurance agents do not have a crystal ball.
So coverage amounts, on the topic of coverage amounts, can be a little bit confusing. So what's the typical recommendation as far as an inflatable rental company? And I would assume this depends on size and things like that. What would be your general recommendation for an inflatable rental company? $1 million, $2 million? What's the most common and what do you recommend?
I always recommend the 1-2-1. 1 million, 2 million, 1 million. That's what I had when I was in Tennessee as a rental operator. That's what I prefer that everybody were to sign up with. So you know you're covered.
To dive a little bit deeper into the previous answer, which you said you recommend the 1-2-1. Can you give a little bit of detail on what the 1-2-1 means?
$1 million per injury, $2 million per total of the incident, and $1 million on the property.
Okay. Okay. So it's a breakdown then of coverage for specific things, I should say. So like
Correct.
an aggregate.
And
Okay.
you can always get an umbrella. Like I had somebody get in touch with me today that needed to add a $2 million umbrella on top of their policy they already have. When you're also looking for insurance, less is not more. Some people decide they try to save money by having less coverage. It's not always a good idea.
What is the least amount of coverage you could have as an inflatable rental company? Is there a certain threshold?
There is other coverage out there, but I will only sell the 1-2-1 because I'm not going to put you or your family in a position to where something happens and you're not covered. Because to me,
Okay.
you're my customer, so you're important to me, and I care about you and your company.
Good.
And if someone wants to go with less and you're not covered, you're coming back to me saying, "What'd you do?"
Yeah. So that's an important point you brought up, is the business owner and their family. This business, it can get to where if something terrible happens and you don't have the right coverage, it can ruin, not only will the business have to go under, but it can destroy your life.
Think
And
about your
yeah,
companies that have employees. So not only do you risk your business, but you also risk your employees' families, because if your business goes under coverage, then and it shuts down, where are they going to find their jobs?
yeah. So it can have a butterfly effect. And no, that's a great answer, and a good honest answer too, is that you don't even really give the choice of covering lower, because why, when it's the best way to do it and it's the most secure way to do it.
Insure what rents. There we go. We're going to have to get that sticker made.
So the next question I have, do venues like schools, parks, or cities usually require higher limits, and how does that process kind of work?
Each venue and each school is going to require limits that they have specified, and it is found at the school district or at the parks when you rent or use the location. They're going to need a COI, and when you get your COI, you're going to contact your insurance person, shoot them an email. I always tell everybody, shoot me an email with exact wording. So I used to do a
Okay.
state park, and I did a COI once that I requested, and I did it wrong when I had my rental company. And I realized that if I would have cut and paste exactly what they wanted, I would have brought it to them the first time. So you always want to make sure that the exact wording that your customer or venue is asking for is sent over, and cut and paste whatever they send it to your insurance person, and then they'll respond with a COI for that day.
And that was my next question, was a lot of times operators get asked for those COIs, and explain how it works, but you basically did. It's a requirement that they have. And the best way to find out what somebody requires is to contact them directly, that potential customer, get their requirements, and then send you or whoever the insurance agent is an email with that exact wording. Perfect. And then this kind of leads into this question. Can operators get a short term or 1-day event coverage, or is an annual policy the only option?
You can buy 1-day event coverage. It just depends on what you're looking for, what size the event is. Sometimes it is not as cost effective as just getting a yearly policy. What I've told
Yeah.
everybody is, if you're just trying to get a policy for 1 day and you don't have insurance, I'm probably going to recommend that you get a year policy, because getting one for 1 day for just one event doesn't make sense. You're going to do more than one event a year. Newsflash. I've lived it. And if you need additional umbrella policies for 1 day, you can get that too. It just matters of the size of the event, and it has to be cost effective.
Gotcha. So just you should contact either you or your agent about if there was a specific requirement or that sort of thing, to get the details and all of that to evaluate it.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the question that everybody wants to know, is how much does house insurance cost? And so what factors go into determining the cost of coverage for a rental business?
There are several factors: your gross revenue, your location, and your items. So we'll touch on one of the items: mechanical bulls, zip lines, carnival rides. Those are higher ticketed items where your insurance rates can be higher than normal. Some of your inflatables can be higher than normal. What's the biggest slide you guys make?
And the biggest slide we've made recently is a 31 foot tall.
that size or higher can come in at a higher insurance rate because of the height.
Okay, so the safety risk involved.
Correct. It's all about the risk and what the item is.
Okay.
So we all know that the bigger the slide, the faster you go, the more chance. I'm going to touch on in Georgia, they just passed that law. Anything over 15 miles an hour, can't put it up.
Interesting. Good. Which is what the manufacturer's manual says. So you should be following that anyways. But yeah, no, I'm glad that the states are recognizing that too. Okay. So it depends on location, like you said, the type of equipment. And then what was the third factor?
The location, your revenue, what you actually
Revenue.
run.
Okay. And so on average, what would you say a new operator would typically expect to pay for a premium, for an annual premium?
That's a loaded question. So I saw that on the questions when you sent them. Quoting premium like that, I really couldn't give you a good answer. And the reason being is I have to know where they're located. We have to know how many units they have, what their gross revenue is going to be for that year. We would send it out over to underwriting, and then underwriting will spit out a number. We don't put the
Okay.
rates as agents, underwriters set the rates.
Basically then, because that is a loaded question and depends on so many different factors. Maybe a good suggestion would be is if I'm a new company and I'm looking to get insurance, to make sure that there's not a certain company that's just blowing my doors off and trying to get a good rate, maybe I should look into getting quotes from different agents or different insurance companies.
What I can say is that I would go to bouncehouserisk.com, 754-206-9456. Ask for a gentleman by the name of Gary and get your quotes from Gary and see if it works. We get companies that are $1 million companies. We get companies that are startups. The thing about me is that I'm here to help you guys grow. I was talking to a company earlier that signed up with us a couple months ago. He's a newer company. He's got about 20 units. I actually met him through BounceWave customer.
Awesome.
He had an issue. A client decided to move the unit. And when they moved the unit tour, calls me up and says, "Hey man, what do I do?" And I'm like, "What city are you in?" So he told me the city, and within 2 hours, I helped him locate a repairman. Got him in.
Nice.
So it's all about insurance is one piece of the puzzle. It's caring about your operators and caring about seeing everybody win. Austin, I'm gonna give you a secret. There's not a shortage of kids' parties in the area. So you just have to find the market and understand that there's tons of business everywhere. If everybody works together and helps one another, it's an amazing industry. How many guys do we see at the trade show and they say, "Hey man, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from California. I'm from Washington." This year I met an operator from Montana. It was pretty cool. He sent me a picture of
Yeah.
Buffalo. It's amazing all over for the same idea of the love for the business.
Mhm.
And it's the money will come if you love what you do.
And the cool thing too is it's actually a pretty rewarding business to be in. You're not a car mechanic where somebody's bringing you their problems and they know they're going to have to spend a ton of money. You're bringing a bounce house or a water slide to a kid's birthday party that they might remember for the rest of their life. Most of the time, they're happy to see you. So it's a rewarding business as well. Okay. Okay, good. So yeah, if you are an existing business or a new business and you want to get a quote or ask Gary any questions, he's extremely helpful, extremely knowledgeable. Go to Bounce House Risk. I'm going to include all the contact info and I'm going to go over it again at the end. But Gary at Bounce House Risk.
754-206-9456.
There
Hey,
you go.
love this video and you see me on the video, give me a call.
So if you're a business that you have a policy and let's say the business is growing, you add more inflatables or you hire employees or you add a truck or two, how does that affect the price of the premium?
Employees falls under workers' comp. So you want to make sure you have workers' comp. That's required in just about every state. There are some parameters, so check your state docs. I don't set them, I just follow them. touching on the auto, you want to make sure that you add your drivers to the vehicles so that in case you get an accident, it's not, oh my God, I had no idea he was driving that vehicle. It's nothing new. In case of an incident, one of the biggest things that companies need to put in place is an SOP, standard operating procedure. So things is an accident report, the who, what, where, when, why. If you don't have
Okay.
one, contact your insurance professional and have them provide you with one. But make sure you have one. Do your safety checks, whether it's a car, whether it's a trailer, do all your safety checks so that you are prepared for when you are delivering and picking up inflatables. And most importantly, just don't cut corners. Try to make sure you do everything thorough. If you do everything thorough, you have nothing to worry about.
Some great tips there. And then, so if I'm adding inflatables and I'm growing, I should expect to see a little bit of an increase because it's higher risk.
When you're adding equipment to your policy, the added premium will be when with your sales or the items. So it just matters on what you're adding. What are you adding to your policy? And does your wife know you bought it?
No, the second part, you don't have to say the second part, but okay. So yeah, just, so basically that policy increase will on revenue and sales too then.
Correct. And based on the type of item you're adding, are you adding a boxing rink? Are you adding a mechanical bull? Are you adding a foam pit? Are you adding a field goal kick? Are you adding the connectable games that look super awesome from on the detail, from the field goal to the batters up to the soccer game?
If I'm an operator who's been in the business for a few years and I feel like I'm paying a little bit too much in premiums because there's this little thing called Facebook that has these groups in it with thousands and thousands of people, and they're always also asking about insurance and why it's so expensive, and I'm feeling like I'm paying a little bit too much, what do you recommend I do? And let's say I'm not with Bounce House Risk, might be open to, what would you recommend I do to explore my options?
Well, Gary, 754-206-9456. By the end of this interview, you're going to remember my phone number. So give us a call. You know, it costs nothing to do a quote.
Yep.
But if you're happy where you're at, I'm a firm believer that be with the people that are going to support you. And price is great, but you want to have the good people around you that truly care about your business and understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. What do I do when the cord burns up? Or what items do I do make the most sense to add to a policy? And make sure that when you're growing, you find partners in the business, whether it's where you buy your products, where you get your insurance from, or you buy your vehicles from. Build the relationships. Cheaper, it's not always better.
Yeah. And we try our dangest to do that exact mentality here at BounceWave. We tell people all the time, if you're setting up on a weekend and then the cord ends burning, call us. We're here. We're going to answer the phone. Or if you're a newer company, and you're looking to add something extremely specific that's doesn't seem like it's going to work, I'm going to tell you, I probably wouldn't do that. And I could still make money. I could sell it to you and make money off of it. But we firmly believe, and just as
That's
you
awesome.
do, relationship is so much more important, because at the end of the day, I want to see you succeed, because if you do succeed and I give you the right tools and you're making money and you're happy, you'll likely keep spending money with me because we have a great relationship. So that's a great point to bring up for sure.
I want to touch on that a little bit more and a little bit more in depth
Yeah.
on one thing. So I talk to Jason a lot, and I can tell you that Jason's will take a phone call at 10:30 at night. Jason will take a phone call at 7 in the morning. And guess what? Jason owns BounceWave. And Jason cares about his customers, that you may not buy a single thing from him, but he will sit there and chat you up for hours. He is somebody that, whether or not you shop with him, he is still going to be there for you and still give you the guidance, because he's been in the game and he knows that if you help people, that goes a long way. I mean, I'm going to touch on one you guys have is blowers with the super long cord. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, the BounceWave blower, the 30-foot long cord. We'll just go look at the Facebook social media reviews and you'll see that our blowers are the best in the business, but we're going to make them even better here coming very soon.
Since you have me on the show right now, let's do a special. You're on the spot.
What's that?
Talk. Do a special on the new blowers coming in. If they buy 5, do a special.
Yeah, if you buy 5 blowers, I'll give you one for free. Woo! Actually, at IAPA, we'll do an even cooler special. I'm going to give you guys, if you're listening to this episode, this little perk at listening to us. Nobody knows about this yet. At IAPA, and you know what? If you listen to this right now and you want to do it, call us, buy 4 blowers, and I'll give you one for free. 1-888-901-9283. You can go to bouncewave.com, but call us for that. Let them know, because it might be Blake or Chris or Blaine that answer the phone too. They'll all know about this little sneak special we threw in here. So just let them know you listen to the podcast, and I'm happy to do it for you.
There we go. And now, this IAPA is coming up. I'm going to have a booth, and you guys are going to have a booth.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any new designs that are coming out? I'm just curious now. IAPA's a kid in a candy shop, so party rental owner always want to know, hey, you're on the Bounce House Risk show. You got your insurance guy on right now, and he's just asked Austin Ladd, the designer, what you're bringing to IAPA.
Yeah, we have a couple of new designs coming this year. We try to keep the actual layout and booths under wraps for a little until we get a little bit closer to the show. I can tell you there is a new designed slide that we released about a month ago. It became in 2 days the most popular and most sold water slide design we've ever had. And that is the Freeze Pop Falls in the hybrid version, of course, because that's what rents and that's what is fun. And that's what you should have if you have an inflatable rental company. The Freeze Pop Falls, it's got the popsicles on it. I've got all kinds of contrasting bright colors that looks amazing. And on top of that, what's really cool is that this year at IAPA, we sat down for, I'm talking days, discussing IAPA and what we want to do. And we take a look at the current economy and the situation of what's going on in the world and how much liquid capital people have in their pockets and what can we bring to the table this year at IAPA. And I can tell you when we release these specials here in a couple weeks, if you're listening, look at all of our Facebook pages and website on October 1st, and you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. Hybrids and 18 hybrids and 18 center climbs will be at the lowest IAPA special price we might have ever had. Yeah, it's Jason. I think I had to talk to Jason about it for 3 to 4 days before he could even process that price point. But we're all on board now. We're riding with it because we want to get these things in people's hands and get them making money. But yeah, IAPA is coming up. Stay tuned. Stay on our Facebook pages and stuff and on our website, and we'll release those specials. But the Freeze Pop Falls will be there. I have a couple of other new designs we're coming out with. They're not the big flashy painted designs. They're going to be more of a good classic run, which I'm a big fan of. And you know this too, being here from the beginning. Sometimes flashy isn't the best, right? And so these are what we call classic designs, but they still look good. So we have a new one coming, a new 15 center climb called the Bimini Wave. It's got a new color design, the Ultra Shock, which is a cool pink and purple and teal look. But yeah.
Has anybody heard yet since I'm on the show? Woohoo! Probably last time they invited me, but what about these cool interactives you guys got coming out? You guys?
Yeah, the Sports Mania will be there. The Sports Mania, which is our 4-booth inflatable game that can be rented out all together. They can each be rented out individually or any combination you can think of.
Holiday items, any Christmas themed, Halloween themed?
Not at IAPA this year. We've been talking about that recently. And with Jason, how he feels about the holiday units. I've gotten him a little bit more into doing it. Not this year, but next year we're looking at to where maybe not at IAPA, but we'll have holiday stuff that stays in line with our thought on holiday stuff. So holiday things that look good but aren't going to be crazy expensive, because we don't believe in dropping all of your capital for something that's going to rent a couple of weekends out of the year. But yeah, we're looking into it. Next year, I think we're going to come out with some really cool stuff, some mazes, maybe things like that. But yeah, it's coming.
Didn't mean to steal the show and flip the interview, so I apologize.
Oh, it's good. It's good. And
It's great. And the thing is, like, I've watched this company grow. Heck, I remember when Chris Brown was doing everything. Now you got him doing TikToks.
yeah,
If you haven't watched Chris Brown on TikToks and his doing his ballerina in the chair as you guys spin him around, that is amazing. All right, back.
yeah. No, if you do want to be entertained, I think he's at Inflatable King on TikTok. But anyways, let's get back to insurance, which is the really fun stuff. So let's move into kind of more of getting and keeping coverage. So if I'm a new inflatable rental business owner, when should I obtain coverage? So should I obtain a policy before or after buying inflatables? Should I have a registered LLC or EIN? Do I have to have that?
So I would recommend registering a company or EIN with your state, then purchase your inflatables. Then once your inflatables are purchased and you're ready to pick them up, get your insurance. Don't rent inflatables without insurance. All you're doing is asking for trouble. So,
Yeah.
and none of us want to deal with the issue. Uninsured companies is such a hot topic all over the forums. Your peers feel the same way I do. If I'm paying for it, you should too. It is definitely something that you just need to have. I've never really had someone talk me into why running without insurance is a good idea. So there's really not a whole lot other than sign up, do the right thing.
Yeah. And the judge doesn't really care if you're in court and you say, I planned on getting insurance. That's not going to fly. So let's talk about as far as obtaining insurance goes. So how long would you say it typically takes from the point of calling Gary at Bounce House Risk?
And when you go on the website on your tablet, so Austin, when you're on the way home, and do you have someone that's going to drive you? So you probably live about 20 minutes. That's about how long it's going to take you to do an app. We have made it super easy where you can do an application on a tablet in the car on the way home, as long as you're not driving. Make sure you're the passenger. So
Awesome.
If you have a Tesla and you're putting it in self-driving mode and you're using the little computer, you could do it there too. You have to answer all the questions truthfully, come up with correct figures for your rental items. So when you're figuring sales figures, you got to submit your sales. Just do the arithmetic. If you have 4 combos, you're going to rent them at $200 a pop, which is $800 a weekend, times 10 weeks is $8,000.
Yeah. So just some arithmetic.
Simple.
And somebody can call you, of course, right? If they have a certain
to walk
question.
you through. We have several team members on our phone lines that are here just about whenever to help you, walk you through, and to simplify it. I try to make everything simplified and very tech savvy, where it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to do it.
Awesome. And so from the point of submitting that application, how long would you say it takes from that point to then have an active policy?
Up to 5 business days, depending on the season. Just like,
so fairly quick.
Yeah, long as you submit all the data that is needed for the application immediately, right as you submit, we submit to underwriting. It can take up to 5 days. Now that's saying, now when we hit busy season and they get backlogged, it could go longer. So pre-plan what you're going to do. I always tell everybody 30 days out, call Gary.
And then what are some of the main reasons, and this is more of if you have the policy, what would be a few of the reasons a claim might get denied?
That is a loaded question. So do I know reasons why a claim could get denied? Couldn't tell you. I'm not a claims adjuster. I'm not an underwriter. You submit the information to me. I submit the claim to underwriting, and that's how that works. Agents don't make decisions on claims. Underwriters and claims adjusters do.
Okay. And then have you ever noticed any like red flags, like certain practices or the way a business is set up that could make it harder for an operator to get insurance?
So several ways can make it difficult. You have a lot of claims. If when you are going through the process, You submit that you have 43 units and you're only going to run $5,000. It can be difficult if you lie in your application. It's all self-inflicted. You do it to yourself. One of my famous sayings. You operate your business as if you're a large corporation. All right. Obstacles like getting coverage, not having the correct data, not being truthful on your application, making sure you submit all the proper documents. Don't just send a screenshot when they ask for your sales. If you have ERS, submit your insurance report. If you had inflatable office, submit your insurance report. If you have BCN, submit your insurance report. Same thing, spiderweb. Software is very important. You have to prove what you're doing. It's all about the risk and what you earn. Everybody wants to try to get the most coverage. Cheap and best coverage don't always fall on a line. You want to get coverage that's going to cover you and your family so you don't lose everything in the event of a claim.
Good. So when an incident does happen, maybe an injury at an event, being an operator yourself in the past and now on the other side of it, are there certain steps you would recommend an operator would take right away to try and make the insurance, I guess, entire process go properly and smoothly? Are there certain things you would recommend they do?
You have an injury, you take an incident report, call the paramedics, because making sure that whoever is injured seeks medical treatment first. Get your witness statements, take lots of photos, fill out your incident report, but most importantly, if they're injured, get them medical treatment. Don't try to delay and try to see what's going on. Make sure the person is taken care of. That's the number one thing. Insurance, from there, once you turn in all your data, you will have a claim, and then from there you go through the claim process.
Gotcha. So photos being, if it happened on one of your pieces of equipment, getting pictures of the installation of the equipment and that sort of thing, right?
Correct. Make sure also when you're doing your setups, like in your bounce houses, there's 4 corners. Don't put 2 stakes in. Put 4 stakes in. On the front of the bounce house, Austin, what is the length of the stake that is needed for a 15 by 15?
A 15 by 15 is going to be 18 inches driven into stiff or hard stiff soil.
There you go. So heard it first from the manufacturer. So follow what the manufacturer suggests when installing the unit. Use the proper anchor equipment when you anchor it.
If something does happen, first of all, have the person, if they're injured, seek medical treatment to make sure they're okay. First and foremost, don't delay that. It's not going to end up well. Get them treatment first. Photograph the setup, what's going on, incident report. Which incident report is that? Where would you recommend, because an incident report, I guess, would be a template that you could have, right? Ready to go.
Contact your insurance professional that you have insurance with and ask them for a template that they would prefer for you to use.
Perfect.
Each agency should be able to provide that, or the underwriter may be able to provide that, or the carrier. Somebody in the insurance realm will be able to provide you with a proper document.
Okay, good. So contact your insurance agent, which should be Gary at Bounce House Risk, for an incident report to have on hand in case something does happen. Are there any certain safety practices or certifications or anything that an operator can obtain that might help lower cost or just reduce risk?
So I'm glad you asked that question. So instead of call Gary, call Steve Rangel. Kyoto Training, they have several modulars that you can purchase for your team members and yourself to learn to get the safety training that is needed. There's several things you can learn. He has some new courses coming out. Can't tell you what they are. He and I have already discussed it 2 weeks ago. He's an amazing safety course. There's also IOA with Kevin Wagle. If you don't call Steve, call Kevin and sign up for that. That trade show's coming in March. The third safety training is called Jump Train. So one of those classes, sign up. It's a great investment. Invest in yourself. You can never stop learning. Austin, when you started designing inflatables, First time you design one, probably had to learn, right?
Yep. Thankfully, I had Jason to tell me that we're not going to make that, but and my engineers. But yeah, no, it was a learning curve.
And from there, you receive training and training courses, and you learned how to use software. It's just like using in your party rental business. You can't go wrong with safety training.
Yeah. And I guess that leads into that statement you said at the beginning of insurance is the something that you have that you hope you never need to use. And so those kind of things can help you not have to use it, hopefully.
That is correct.
Cool. So it was SIOTO, right?
Correct. Scioto.
SIOTO. And then what was the other one?
The other one is Kevin Wagle, IOA.
Yeah, check those out. They are industry specific to what we do. Great resources there.
We'll have information for all those companies at my booth at IAPA. Come out and see us.
Let's do the quick round of FAQs. So I posted our BounceWave customer group. I highly encourage you to go join that Facebook group. So with the BounceWave regular page, a lot of the times we're posting new designs or updates, things that are in stock. But the BounceWave customer group is actually a community of customers, and they're posting on there all the time, whether it's just pictures of their setups or certain questions. A great community and great knowledge base. You don't have to be a BounceWave customer to join it. Just fill out the request and I do it. The team reviews it. If you don't look like you're just going to go on there and try and scam us and copy our pictures, then I'll let you in. I have to ask Chris Brown if you can come in. I'm kidding. Chris
You
Brown.
forgot Chris Brown, I will say, was my sales rep when I first got started, as he's been hustling, getting there, getting the clients, working it. Now he's been promoted. I don't know what his title is now. So, but he's super proud of the kid. I've watched him grow up over the past couple of years, and it's amazing.
Yeah, he's pretty incredible. And because he has so much experience with so many customers and so many different companies in so many different areas, his knowledge on the industry, and he's very involved in the rental side too. So rarely at these manufacturers are you going to run into somebody like us, myself, Blake and Blaine, literally day to day are dealing with the struggles. Yeah, that's a train. It's many times a day. It scares the lights out of me when I'm outside and I'm filming inflatables. But day to day, just being involved in a rental company speaks volumes because we know the struggles, we know things that work. And Chris having that with all of his customers' experiences, because he talks to them, they call him and they aren't looking to buy a unit. They just want to talk and talk business. And he does that. Great resource. Blake as well. Jason has really instilled in us the values that he started with. But anyways, let's get to some of these questions. So these are questions, like I mentioned, from our BounceWave customer Facebook group. I put a post out there and said, hey, I'm going to be doing a podcast with Gary. We're going to be talking about all things Bounce House, liability, insurance. What are some questions you have? The first question is, and some of these might just be tough things to answer, but we're going to ask them because we're up front and we'll see how it goes. Why are most premiums based on sales numbers without factoring in the number of rentals? Those companies with premium products and services with higher prices actually have less rentals and clients per dollar than competitors with lower price points. One would assume the higher pricing and less rentals would equal less liability. Is there a world where the number of rentals is brought into the equation?
Currently, most carriers do it based on gross revenue. There's no change in number of rentals at the moment. If it's something that could change, it'd be news to me. I was in the industry for 10 years. It was already always gross receipts, not number of units or number of rentals. For those of you that charge higher prices, high five. Know your value. Don't go rent a bounce house for dirt cheap. It's not a race to the bottom. Yeah. When you race to the bottom, all you do is drive the market down. It should be a race to the top.
100%. Great answer on that. So basically, no, it's always been based on revenue. And that's just how I guess the model is set up. So yeah, if you charge higher prices, great job. Keep it up. Keep that revenue up because you're going to be in a better position making more revenue. And even if you got to pay a little bit more on your premium than if you're on the opposite end where you have zero revenue, then you're out of business. Yeah.
It's just how it works. You can't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. Cool. So the next question is, and we talked about this, but maybe we'll just emphasize it again. What do we need to be doing to ensure if an accident happens that we are covered?
First thing is make sure you pay your premium. The second thing is to verify your inventory list that you're renting against what you have submitted to your insurance provider as actual rental items. One of the common things that people have done is they have a rainbow mod. I have a one rainbow mod is what they cover. But then when they rent 4 rainbow mods, I guess they cloned it. I have no idea. But what I'll tell you is be truthful in what you're doing. List everything. It's gross revenue. If you don't rent it at all, it doesn't affect you. You can put 10 million items on a list that you are going to cover for insurance. And if you only run X amount of dollars, then your premium is based on gross receipts.
So don't be scared. Basically, put everything that you rent on your policy, because it's not based off solely off of that. It's based off of your revenue, like you just said. Cool. Next question is, some attractions, which you touched on this, some attractions require a completely different policy. For example, a mechanical bull. It's my understanding that you can't just add that onto an existing policy. It would require a completely different policy. I'm not sure if things like rock walls and other attractions apply, but I think there's a misconception among newbies that they can just add those things to their existing policy.
You can add on you can have a standalone bull policy, a standalone zip line, standalone carnival rides. But if you have inflatables, and you can package it all in. So that is all able to be done with most carriers. There are some that don't cover it. Example, there are carriers out there that do not allow alcohol with a mechanical bull, where some carriers do. It just matters on the level of risk and what your premium is, and if it makes sense.
So there are options then, if you have it, and that's why you call Gary. And you can find out.
Phone number.
Say it again. I'm terrible.
5406-9456. Bounce House Risk.
There you go. And the last question here is, this question applies to public parks and spaces, corporate events, etc. What's the difference between having another entity named on a COI versus them being added as an additional insured? And are they covered regardless?
When you get a COI, you're adding them to your policy as an additional insured to add them as a covered party also. So it's basically the same thing.
Okay.
COI, and when you get your COI and you add the client onto your COI as an additional insured to cover for all those different jobs, you're adding them onto your policy. So that way they're covered also for allowing you the privilege to set up the equipment properly, following the suggested guidelines on the safety label of each inflatable. If your inflatable does not have a safety label, then I would reference the manufacturer to ask them exactly how to set that up properly.
Good. Okay. Good answer there. That's all the questions I have. I learned a lot on this, and I think people are going to take a lot of information here and get a lot of their questions answered. It's been incredibly helpful. We covered why liability insurance is so important for you and your business and your family, what kind of coverages you might need, what it costs, and some best practices to make sure that you're protected. Again, one more time, just for good measure, Gary, where can people go if they want to connect with you directly or learn more about getting insured?
BounceHouseRisk.com, 754-206-9456. And I do want to mention one other thing that we touched on tonight that I was like so proud of you. Like, you joined the campaign. You know what that campaign was? Team Hybrid.
What's that? Team Hybrid. Oh,
Team Hybrid.
Yeah. I do. I decided I dislike center climbs. I like center climbs, but I like roller coasters and speed, and that's what the hybrid is for. So yeah, Team Hybrid. I can attest to for Gary, and you've heard it throughout this episode, is he's not here just to sell you insurance or a policy. Like, You can call him with any question you have. He's been in the industry and he's more than happy to answer it. Shoot him an email, shoot him a text, give him a call. I've heard so many stories out there, and a couple of the people that I've sent to you, Gary, actually, of before they contacted you, they've been contacting all these other companies. If they can even get them to respond, it takes forever. So if you've been in the industry for years and you're looking to make a change, or even if you just want to see what Gary has to offer, or if you're new to the business, call him. You won't regret it. He's going to take care of you. He's there for your best interests. If something doesn't seem like it's the right fit for you, he's going to be straight up with you and tell you that. The BounceWave, we like to keep people in our circle that we trust and that have the same mentality that we want you to succeed. And so Gary is one of those guys. Again, Gary, thank you for joining us. And to our listeners, actually, before we kind of end, Gary, do you have anything else?
Thank you for having me on. I can tell you that these podcasts have helped people. Let's do a commitment to doing one end of October. Do another one and just talking about IAPA expectations. Yeah. Hey, most people don't know when you go to IAPA, what shoes do you wear? Do you bring a book bag? Do you bring, what is the do's and don'ts? Just information and helping people understand planning. They're coming in from town. They want to stop by your warehouse. Guess what? Your warehouse is what? 3 hours from IAPA, 2 hours?
Shoot, an hour and a half. Yeah.
That's the way you drive. Now, the way I drive, it might be 2 hours and 15 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. It depends on how fast you drive. I like that idea. I think that'd be great. And too, what we can do is we can get some of the other guys in here too, and we can talk shop and do a little banter back and forth. We'll have Chris Brown on here, and maybe even Blaine might get on. I might be able to get him to get on, and we can have a full IAPA discussion and
a fun debate. Down. You guys are an amazing company. I love what you've done for the industry. I love the hustle. I love the uniqueness and how you guys are always trying to make things better. Chasing the dollar is chasing the ability to help people generate money for their staff and for their family and to grow their business. And that's why I was like, let's do one.
So, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining us again. And to our listeners, if this episode has helped you, make sure to subscribe to this podcast, Bounce Pros Unplugged, for more insights to grow and protect your inflatable rental business. And most importantly, make sure to check us out, BounceWave Inflatable Sales, for any of your inflatable needs, or if you have any questions regarding inflatables, the business in general, we're here. Like I said, it's really anything. We have people call us, how do you get started in the business, to how do you replace this cord end? And we're here. You can visit us at our website at bouncewave.com or give us a call. Speaking of IAPA, quick reminder, IAPA is coming up soon. That is in Orlando. That is the November 18th through the 21st is the show. Gary's going to have a booth there with Bounce House Risk. Go up to him, talk to him. Great guy to talk with, great guy to talk shop with. We're going to have 2 booths as well, one inside, one outside. And if you don't know what IAPA is, quickly, it's the biggest entertainment industry expo in the entire world. Inflatables is a massive part of it, but it's in reality only about a quarter of the show. But basically every reputable manufacturer and major manufacturer of inflatables and insurance companies and software companies and things like that are there. And it's just a great place to go and meet people, make connections. And that's in Orlando. Give us a call if you have any questions on it. We'll help you get registered. Again, Bounce House Risk, Gary Lorant, give him a call. And again, thank you so much, Gary. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.